What if Naruto and Sasuke fused? Imagine the powers of the Kyuubi, the Uchiha clan, and Hakaromo's both halves combined into one character. How busted would this be? And that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this video. However, I'm sure you guys probably have one question in the back of your head. Dude, how are you going to make this happen? And you're probably thinking, okay, you're either going to be doing some fanficky reason, or you're probably going to be using some jutsu or sealing. And to answer that question, what I'm actually going to be using is... This story starts off after the victory on the Great Naruto Bridge. They make their way to Tazuna's house, and Tsunade, as a thank you, would go on to hand some strange looking earrings to Sakura, obviously because nobody else in the group would probably want those. She would go on to accept these, and Naruto from here would do his usual Naruto thing, asking to check them out, and as a joke, Sasuke would do so as well. Both of them would actually end up just jokingly putting one on opposite ears of each other, and this would lead both of their bodies to be sent flying into each other. It would be in this instant that both of them would end up fusing, and this would be permanent. Immediately after this happens, Naruto and Sasuke would both be gone, and in their place would be some new person who would look at himself and say, "What the?" And it would be at this simultaneous moment that we would have both Sakura and Kakashi both freaking out. The entire group goes into shock. And they would try to fix this by going to Tsunade's house. However, unfortunately for them, it does not work. Why? Because she goes on to explain that she has no idea how this happened. She says that her grandma just gave them to her and she has no cure. So what would they do? They would end up having to go right back to the Hidden Leaf Village, where Hiruzen would go on to tell them that he actually has no clue in the world how he's going to be fixing this, because he's never in his life seen something like this before. He would, however, attempt to fix things by doing a couple of different things. However, after various different solutions would fail, he would just tell them to just get used to it, considering that they're probably gonna be stuck like this. What? Both Naruto and Sasuke would yell simultaneously, saying, "We don't want to be stuck this way." And Hiruzen would look at them and say, "Well, too bad, you're stuck this way. And considering that the Chunin exams are coming up, you better prepare." After Hiruzen turned out to be of no use to them, what they ended up pretty much doing is essentially just going back to Sasuke's house, because let's face it, his house is a million times way better than Naruto's, and a lot cleaner too. Deciding that they have nothing better to do, they end up pretty much taking Hiruzen's advice and actually go on to test their new strength and see if anything changed. And they realize that they are very, very, very powerful. We're talking 4th Gate lead in their base without training. That's how busted the Potara fusion made them. And they would more than likely take advantage of their newfound chakra reserves, Sharingan, chakra control, and stamina. Once they finished training for a week, they would be busted. And the levels of strength that they're at is something that you guys are probably gonna get straight angry at. But it's more than justified. I mean, look at the Dragon Ball story. We saw Vegeta and Goku go from under Buu to toying with him in just their base form. So I would definitely imagine that a fusion of Naruto and Sasuke, even at this point in the story, would get to these levels of powers a-okay. Eventually, they make their way to meet up with the Rookie 12. And let's just say that they're all so shocked and don't even know what to say. They would just begin to ask questions on questions, but ultimately, Ino would even try to end up flirting it up with Saruto, and Sakura, being Sakura, would just brag about the fact that she's on a team with Saruto. She has learned to fall in love with this new character. And when the test would start, they would end up actually using their Sharingan to pass, and we'd find ourselves in the Forest of Death. The major change here would be that there's no Sasuke, and instead there's someone wearing a hoodie with the Uzumaki symbol as well as the Uchiha symbol on them, and half of their hair, which would confuse Orochimaru when he would actually end up arriving. He would rush in to face off against this Genin because he thinks that, okay, this person has the Uchiha emblem, this must be Sasuke. And eventually, this would lead them to a one-on-one fight in which Saruto would put up an incredible fight, but Orochimaru still stomps and places the curse mark on them. But luckily, because they have the Kyuubi, it disappears once the Kyuubi's power begin to take over. And what would happen is they would rise up with a menacing aura. Two tails of the Kyuubi's power would come out and they would stare down Orochimaru and punch him, sending him flying through like two trees. He would get up and basically orgasm at the thought of an Uchiha body with the nine-tailed beast. And from here, Saruto would hold him off until reinforcements would arrive, and Saruto would have chills over this encounter with Asani. Hiruzen would be absolutely stunned that they could keep up with him, and they'd be escorted to the Chunin Tower where they would rest, only for the next day to end up facing off against Kiba. And let me tell you guys, it is a one-sided massacre. There is not a thing that Kiba can do or a prayer that he can say to defeat Saruto, because it is not happening. And now we have the 1 month training arc, and during this time a couple of things are going to be changing. In the original, Sasuke and Naruto both do their own training regimen, but this time I decided to just actually combine each of them and make it so that they get the benefits of each side, because they're going to be having to train twice as hard. So this is going to be the hardest month of Saruto's entire life. He goes on to learn the Rasengan, the Chidori, the summoning jutsu, learning to control the Kyuubi, learning to control the Sharingan. And just like in the original, he would go on to learn Rock Lee's speed and taijutsu abilities like Sasuke would, which would make him insanely busted. Eventually though, they're ready for the finals, and so they would end up facing off against Neji, who would try to act confident but deep down knows that he's about to get bodied. And it would happen very, very badly. Following this, Naruto would be crowned the winner, and then go on to face off against Gaara. The match proctor would start the next match by yelling, "Hajime!" And so, Naruto blitzes behind Gaara, giving my boy Vietnam flashbacks, and then he would land a Chidori straight to his body, sending him flying to one of the sides of the wall, and it would knock him out cold, leading to Shukaku being unleashed, and immediately the village would go into a panic-like state. Orochimaru, once this would happen, would take the opportunity to rush at Saruto, using a genjutsu to trap him, but Saruto would smirk and break free, saying, "Maybe that would work a month ago, but now that'd never work." He disperses it, revealing it was just a shadow clone, and then Saruto blitzes in, using 3 tails of the Kyuubi's powers, fully in control, since he placed Kurama under a powerful genjutsu. And then he would kick Orochimaru's head backwards and slam a big ball Rasengan on Orochimaru, followed by a fire style jutsu, and Orochimaru's body would be turned into mush, as it's revealed that he would have ended up actually escaping. And Saruto would smirk, looking up to see Hiruzen's dealing with Shukaku. From here, Saruto would jump in, and using the aura of the Kyuubi inside of him would intimidate Shukaku, giving Hiruzen just enough time to seal it back up, and the attack would be completely unsuccessful. But now, onto much more pressing matters, the search for Tsunade arc would start, and trust me, this is where the story is just getting started. In case some of you guys forgot, Itachi is still a thing, and I have a gut feeling that this story is about to get a lot more interesting. Just like in canon, Jiraiya would take Naruto along for the ride and would get some more training in, as well as spilling the beans about Naruto's true parents. Saruto would smile, saying that they're only half his parents, and would say that it's very good to know where he came from, saying that at first, honestly, he hated what happened to him, but now he's starting to actually like his new life. 1 week would pass, and eventually Naruto would find himself in a hotel room alone, adding some finishing touches to a new jutsu he's been working on. And when the door would be knocked on, he'd go to open it only to smile and say, "It's been a while, Itachi." He would immediately jump back and shoot a fire style at Itachi, which would be blocked easily by Kisame. And then he would run towards the rooftop, where he would say that he needed a lot more room if he was going to be killing his dear older brother. Itachi would ask what he's talking about, and Sasuke would activate his Sharingan, or should I say, Saruto, going on to explain that his name is Saruto, and he's the fusion of Sasuke and Naruto, as well as his executioner, blitzing in using a Chidori to stab at Itachi, who would transform into crows and would explode, sending Saruto back flying, as he would look to Itachi and say that it's about time he got serious. 3 tails would pop up due to his rage, and his features would become more and more like the Kyuubi, as he would attack blindly, leaving Itachi to parry and counter his attacks, shocked at Saruto's powers, as he would place him under a genjutsu too powerful for him, causing Saruto to stop in his tracks. but inside his mindscape, he'd look at the Kyuubi with his Sharingan, evolving fully to a 3 Tomoe state in each eye, as he would go on to say that it's time to pay for being here, as he would look towards Kurama and place him under the most powerful genjutsu he has ever performed, tapping into KCM as he would break free from Itachi's genjutsu and would rush in using his newfound speed, as he would begin to fight toe-to-toe with Itachi, who actually goes all out using his Mangekyo and even would have to resort to the Susanoo, as Saruto's attacks would slow down and Itachi would be forced to use the Yaramir to block his attacks. Kisame would rush in and Naruto would stab a Chidori into Kisame's heart, saying, "Stay out of this, scum!" as he turns back towards Itachi and continues his onslaught, screaming, Why would you kill them, Itachi? Tell me!" as he would rush in, and Itachi's stamina would dwindle as he has Itachi on his knees, and he would ready a kunai to kill him, when Itachi would suddenly say his last words, "I'm sorry, Sasuke," as Saruto slams the blade into his heart and would scream in agony, saying, "Why? Even in your last breath you torture me. Why would you ever apologize? Damn it, damn it, damn it," as he would slam his arms onto Itachi's body, but Jiraiya would come in and grab him, hugging Saruto, who would look up in tears from his Sasuke half as they would embrace. After this, they would end up going to search for Tsunade just like in canon, and surprise surprise, they find her in a bar. Now, I'm pretty sure it comes to no surprise that she still ends up challenging Naruto, and so the encounter would go something like this. "You know, kid, you're making a fool of yourself. There's no way you'll even be able to land one blow on me. So tell you what, if you land even one blow on me, I promise to give you this necklace." And so, Saruto would smirk, going on to create a Rasengan in his hand. As he would do so, he would throw it at Tsunade, and it would be at this point that she would watch it disappear. She would laugh, saying that she can't believe Jiraiya taught him this jutsu, as she would cough and would be sent flying back, knocked out completely for the rest of the night, as she would wake up and realize that she's on her way to the hidden leaf, asking Naruto what in the world that was. And he'd explain, saying that he actually ended up mixing an elemental nature into the Rasengan jutsu, leading him to be able to create the first ever lightning Rasengan. After this, a 3-year time skip would immediately take place, in which after having defeated Itachi, Saruto would kind of get a bit complacent, knowing that he's the strongest in the Hidden Leaf Village. And so, he doesn't really get as strong as some of you would imagine. He does learn the Rasen Shuriken, masters lightning, fire, and his wind nature, and gets a lot faster, as well as stronger. But other than that, not too much would really change. He doesn't even unlock the Mangekyo yet. Eventually though, the day of the Gar retrieval mission would come around, and events essentially stick to the status quo, because I don't see much changing. However, when facing off against the Akatsuki, Saruto would definitely body Deidara, actually killing him with a full blast of Kirin as he tries to fly away on his clay bird. He would just watch him from a distance and count down 3, 2, 1, boom! An explosion would go off with Kirin's aftermath leaving a crater in the earth. After this, he would return to help Sakura with Sasori, and when he would arrive, he'd land the finishing blow, using a lightning Rasengan, catching Sasori off guard completely and shocking Lady Chiho. And for those of you wondering, she still does end up sacrificing her life for Gaara, and this arc would end up going relatively smoothly. And this would be a common theme considering that the main character is way too overpowered for his villains. But don't worry, there's a reason this video is still going. Following these events, Naruto would continue to go on missions, and eventually word would come to Naruto that Asuma has died. He'd help out with Shikamaru, and he would end up being there to take Kakazu down just like in the original. It would be a breeze just like you would expect. But the reason that this is important is because Jiraiya would go off to fight against Pain without telling Naruto, just like in canon. And just like in canon, Jiraiya dies. And this would completely cause Naruto to break down. However, one good thing would come out of it: the Mangekyo Sharingan. Along with that though would come Naruto vowing to avenge Jiraiya. After this happens, Saruto would be warned about Pain, and Saruto would say that he'll kill him no matter what it takes. So he learns Toad Sage mode, and eventually the day would come in which Saruto would return to find the village hidden in rubble. But Pain wouldn't come alone. This time around, he would actually be joined by Obito and even Madara Uchiha. Wait, pause, time out. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are probably wondering, okay, Xehther, where did all of this end up coming from? You just completely dropped the bomb on us and you're not gonna explain? Trust me, I gotcha, I'll explain. Basically, the reason that this all ended up happening was because a bunch of Akatsuki members were dropping left, this is my right, left and right. And because of this, Obito decided that he was gonna be needing a little bit of extra help. Therefore, Madara was added to the equation. And the reason that he did this is because he knows that without Madara's help, this probably won't go as smooth as he wants. However, he does understand that he's definitely going to be having to face off against Madara, with this being the case. So, Obito, Madara, and Pain would confront Saruto. Immediately, Saruto would look at them and say, "Bring it on," as he activates his Sage Mode, Mangekyo Sharingan, as well as his Kurama avatar, and stares them down. He would rush in at Obito first and would punch through him, being completely shocked, but would then get sent flying back by a blast from the Diva Path, as he looks back and says that this is hardly fair. He looks towards them before creating 50 shadow clones, as they would rush in and would begin to fight off against Madara's clones, Obito, and the Paths of Pain. The paths would be destroyed easily, all but the Diva Path, and he would suck Naruto in, as Obito would stab a rod into him, and Madara would say that while his power is something to be admired, there's no way he truly thought he'd defeat them. Is there? And Naruto, looking up, says, "Shut up!" as he breaks free and rushes Madara, only to be sent flying by the Diva Path, and Madara would shoot a massive fire style at Naruto. They'd begin to work in unison and completely begin to tag team Naruto, and Naruto in this moment would wish that he would have trained harder, but there's no turning back time. He'd hold off as long as he can, but eventually, because he can't tag Obito, Madara has incredibly calculated moves, and Pain is practically being defended by both of them. Pain is becoming a massive problem. He'd be defeated ultimately and would have Kurama extracted and be left for dead. My guy and Kakashi, watching this from afar, wouldn't be able to help themselves and would end up lunging themselves into the fight. However, my guy would stop Kakashi, saying that his time of youth has ended, activating the 8 inner gates, as he would rush in and hold off 10 Tails Obito, since he would obviously end up betraying Madara, while Naruto gets his real power awakening. Everything else up to this has been nothing but games. Now, the beast awakens. Naruto rises from his feet and jumps in, fighting the 3 foes all at once, as he goes on to land blow after blow. In his mind, the memory of meeting Hagoromo would be fresh inside of it, and he knows that he can't allow Kaguya to come back. So he would go completely ballistic, and he would just completely outspeed all 3 of them, using the insane power that he now has at his disposal to obliterate and cause all 3 of them to cease to exist. Naruto from here would be left with one more thing to do, but before that, he heals Guy. And when he arrives to where Nagato is, he would walk in there like a complete badass. Konan would try to stop him, but Naruto, using nothing but his aura, would blow her back a couple of meters, and then turns to Nagato, placing him under a Genjutsu, forcing him to use Rinne Rebirth on everyone who died. Then he straight up walks away, leaving Konan to pick up the pieces, and even would take Nagato's Rinnegan. After this, he returns to Konoha, the hero of the village, and is its proud new Hokage. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up What If Naruto and Sasuke Fused. I know this video took me hours to make and edit, so I'm super proud of it. And I know it wasn't perfect, considering there was a couple of plot holes here and there, but I loved it either way. And just so you know, towards the end, I low-key did write myself into a corner and did pull a bit of a Kishimoto, which is kind of funny, but overall, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much and it keeps me going. Plus, it only takes 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. God bless.